below 6 and over. The best.
So edge from Irene. That's good work from Graham Hugh chasing back.
Overs have been gone. 17.
Say, Livingston and Bruno going guns in the power play. First up, would be possible. More than capable of getting up to 350. Those two played really well in those first 10 overs.
The top of Ire Vs Sa's back there. Underneath the grip there's a tape. Types of handles you get on a cricket bat. You get an oval handle, round handle. Some players prefer one than the other. Some batters used to take the grip. You get a brand new bat, you take the grip off, and then you take all the twine off the handle, and then you put the grip on. Lord, I think he's have 6. Top hand position, bit of comfort.
When I used to play a long time ago, I used to have a little weight at the top of the handle. It was called a counterbalance, so that when you're right at the top of your pickup, it makes it then easier, in theory, for the bat to come down.
He did play a long time ago.
Yeah, not this century. 21 overs gone, 122 for 1. Gavin Hoey set to start his 3rd over.
Right then, what was your last game?
Too long ago to remember, really. I remember playing a game out at the Sevens about 15 years ago with an MCC side against the Taverners.
Did you get any?
Not required with the bat, thank goodness.
I know he made his debut, first ODI. This is been about his business. I thought he bowled really well. Figures weren't that complimentary, but he barely bowled a bad ball for a wrist spinner. There wasn't any drag downs or full tosses. Ricketson took a liking to him. He bounced back really well. That's a lovely shot. Placement, excellent. Footwork, even better from Ire Vs Sa. Played a game a little while. AKA Beanie. Then he just said, right, enough with this medium pace. That's not going to get me anywhere higher up the food chain. I spot a gap in the market, wrist spin in Ireland. That's been a wonderful transition. Good character. Seems very strong-minded.
What I like about Gavin Hoey, from what I've seen, he's got a very strong action. very repeatable action. And as you say, that probably comes from the genes a little bit, but he's obviously worked so hard at making sure that he can bowl, bowl, and bowl, and bowl.
His dad never really bowled a googly. Connor was a big turner of the leg break. Didn't really have the googly up his sleeve, but I've already seen Gavin Howe in the previous game slide one out the front of the hand and possess a googly, and a nice leg break. Something for Ireland to work with. Specialist art, spin bowling, wicket keeping. Brown is the Ireland spin bowling coach, and he's done a great job since taking over from Nathan Horrocks, who was very popular. Nathan Horrocks, but unfortunately had to finish due to personal reasons and moved back to Australia. Brown has picked up where Nathan Horrocks left off, and now he's got the opportunity to work with a couple of wrist spinners in Ben White and Gavin Howe.
They're very different types of wrist spinners as well, aren't they?
Ben White very tall and drives the ball into the surface. Doesn't really turn the ball a great deal, but effective in T20 cricket. Oh, he looks like a more natural leg spinner. Has worked with Stuart McGill down in Sydney. He's heading over to Sydney very soon, actually, to play for Uni in New South Wales in the Sydney Premier Comp, which is a very, very high standard.
Jeff Lawson's old club, former Australia fast bowler.
Yeah, a.k.a. Henry. Man, Jeff Lawson. Right. Uni Super Giants head coach.
Nicely played with soft hands there round the corner by Verena. He'll keep the strike. End of the over, 23 done, 133 for 1.
Overs are ticking by, but South Africa seem to be scoring relatively comfortably here. Both Van der Dussen and Vereen just happy to knock it around the occasional boundary, but they seem fairly untroubled.
Very young. Proper leg spinner, though. You see a lot of leg spin.
International cricket. And it is a big one because he's a very fine player of spin, Rassie van der Dussen, but he's been undone by Hoey for 35. South Africa 136 for 2. The century in the first one-day international. Well, makes his way out to the middle. Very dangerous player, can score very quickly.
You would have been thinking about that. He was lying in bed last night dreaming he didn't take a wicket in the first ODI. That's how much it means to him. Not too worried about the manner, the mode of dismissal. Is almost, you can see the relief. Really wild delivery, so well, they played him quite well, but the poor deliveries are actually going for less runs.
That's when later on in life you just rock back in the old rocking chair and you say to your grandchildren, pitched leg, and it hit off. To me, it looked like it was his elbow because it was strapped up early on. You understand that. But then when he ran that quick single, it's after the dive when he shakes his arm.
You just wonder, any physios out there that want to send us in a message, what is that strapping for?
So just take a look at when he shakes his arm. So here he gets a move on, he dives, now he just shakes his arm. And there's the reaction. It's almost as if there's like an electric shock that goes through him when he shakes his arm. Looks in a bit of discomfort and eventually decides, look, I'm going to have to get this seen to, so makes his way off the ground.
Information coming in here. This is great knowledge. Thank you to Telford Vice for this piece of information. But apparently, Themba Bavuma fractured his left elbow in the T20I against India in June 2022. And he didn't have surgery, decided on hyperbaric treatment. It was out until that September. So presumably, that dive did not help matters.
Telford Vice, a very respected cricketing journalist in South Africa, married to a very respected cricketing journalist in Vidoz Munda. Start for Carl Verreynne. Got his opportunity because of an injury as well. Tony DeZorzi missing out today. He didn't heed the advice of you, Isabel Joyce. When we arrived at this ground, before ball was bowled, you said, one thing you don't want to do here as a fielder is slide in this outfield because it's actually quite dangerous.
Well, this is it, yeah. And that's the angle. I was talking about it earlier. You need your hip to be really close to the ground before you slide if you're going to slide in this outfield because it's so sandy. So he's in some strife, unfortunately. The outfields you have in South Africa. You can slide and you know you're going to travel. Out here in the desert, you can't. So that's the end of that Craig Young return.
But it is just a platform. Doesn't necessarily mean that South Africa will end up getting 300 plus. There's a lot of untried, say untested. They've played a handful of one-day internationals. I think Vian Mulder, yes, Patrick Wire has played a few, but Hawking in at number 7, he need to get some runs. There's very, very important batting positions in ODI cricket, 6, 7, 8. DeZorzi injury, the concerning thing for South Africa is, I know Themba Bavuma said he's progressing well and it doesn't appear to be too serious. South Africa will be hoping that's not the case because shortly after this series they head to Bangladesh for a 2 test match series. But a test match cricket returning, and those points are vital for the World Test Championship.
Hopefully it's not too serious. Because he's an exciting player in this South Africa batting lineup. Gavin Hoey. He bowled well his first 3.5 overs. Since he's taken the wicket, in fact, the wicket ball, and since then just has lost a little bit of control of the ball. That's much better. A little bit of drift in, a little bit of movement away.
Such difficult conditions, though, for wrist spinners because of the humidity. Players have to deal with so much sweat. Stubbs plays back really well, and then he's happy to just get down the wicket, but he's got such a big reach, Stubbs. Difficult to bowl to. You think you got the length right, and he's out at you, hitting you down the ground, so you drop it slightly short, and he's able to rock back. That just bursts through the hands, and Verreynne is good between the wickets, so he'll get through for 2.
I think what makes him even more difficult is he's such a good sweeper of the ball, which you don't usually get from a man as tall as him. That's in position pretty good. But they've 2 fielders and extra cover there. You're hoping to cut that off, but slowed it down enough that Mark Adair was able to come around, keep it to 2.
Nicely bowled. Good finish. 26 gone, 149 for 2.